All right, so welcome to everybody this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. I know we have people who are joining us on this call live from all over South Africa. So this is a warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for making the time. For those who will be watching the recording, I hope that you will feel as if you were with us on the live call and that you will get all the value from it and the joys of listening and watching it after. You can pause, you can rewind, you can fast forward, and you can really use this as a digital ebook or a digital, course to get you forward in your cryptocurrency journey. So let's get started. Today we are having our first session of our cryptocurrency masterclass. This is our 2022 version. I've been holding these masterclasses. I think we're going on the third year now. So this is version 2022, and I'm excited that I get to share it with you. It is updated. But for this session, I really want to focus on the fundamentals of cryptocurrency, because a lot of people I found with the work that I do, with people in the cryptocurrency space, they are aware, they know that there's Bitcoin, they know how to buy, they know how to sell. However, how it works, how it all works, and where it started, sometimes people are a little bit fuzzy on that. And I believe that that information is so key because it is the building block of what cryptocurrency is, what the blockchain is, that allows you to identify and interrogate opportunities that you meet along your cryptocurrency journey. Because many of us in cryptocurrency, we get involved because we want to make money, we want to build portfolios, we want to increase our assets, we want to, it is we are looking for more, we want to accumulate, we want to grow. And therefore having the right information as your building blocks is very key, so that as you go forward, you have the knowledge and the information to make knowledgeable decisions in whatever endeavors you're going to get involved in the future. So that really is the purpose of today's call. This is not an opportunity call. This is purely a teaching masterclass where we are going to get into the ins and outs of cryptocurrency. And like I said, this is our first session, many more sessions to come. You'll let me know after the session if you want us to keep going. I'm going to take my cue from you, but I believe that with this class, we are just scratching the surface. And cryptocurrency is a rabbit hole. Once you start, there are so many avenues that you can get into. There's so much information, but I really would like to keep it simple. I don't want it to be complicated. The point is to take what is complicated and make it simple, make it enough so that you can understand it. And the best way to know if you understand is if you can explain it to the next person. And that is my aim for today. So perhaps to some of our attendees tonight, some of our guests, some of the people who might be watching online, we might not have met digitally yet. So let me introduce myself. My name is Lebo. I am an author. I am a seasoned entrepreneur. I love entrepreneurship. I love sharing and teaching people not only about cryptocurrencies, but about entrepreneurship, mindset, all of that. That's something I'm extremely passionate about. So tonight we're going to be tapping into the crypto mogul in me, because I'm an online mogul, digital mogul, all of that. But tonight we're going to be talking cryptocurrencies. And so that's the part that you're going to be tapping in tonight. So this is actually the cover of my book. The book is called Cracking the Crypto Code. So today we're doing the Cracking the Crypto Code Masterclass. I know it's an alliteration, so it can sometimes struggle to roll off the tongue. But yes, tonight we're going to handle the masterclass, and we are going to be talking about a lot. But where we're going to start with what is money? Because this is the fundamental question that was answered when Bitcoin was created, because Satoshi Nakamoto was really asking the question, what is money? How is it stored? How is it sent? Who controls it? And is there a possibility of introducing new ways of measuring value, of sending value that can operate outside of the traditional systems that we have, systems that are sometimes manipulated, sometimes corrupted, systems that also have shortcomings. And so his aim was to find a way to address these shortcomings through a new form of exchange, which we now know as Bitcoin, all of that running through the blockchain. So we're going to start right at the beginning. And we are starting with what is money? And money is basically, it's basically value. That is what money represents. At its core, money represents value. You go to work, you have a business, you are selling something, and at the end of, your work week, your work month, you are given money in exchange for the value that you provided to your employer. You're given money in exchange for the value that you provided to your clients, to your customers. And so money is a representation of value, and therefore it is recognized as a true medium of exchange. So you can exchange value in terms of your work, your effort, in exchange for money, which is value. And when you have that money, you can now take that value and exchange it to buy your groceries, to pay your kids' school fees, to buy a home. That is another form of value that you are exchanging for. So all of this is done through the process today that we now refer to as money. But before there was money, before we had gold coins and silver coins, this was in the very early stages of civilization. Value was exchanged, but in different ways. We had the barter system. From the barter system, we then moved on to, the coin system. Money, value was exchanged through shells, through salt. Salt at one point was what we would refer to today as money. Salt was exchanged as a medium of value. So it only makes sense that even as we evolve as people, as civilizations, that we would evolve away from what we traditionally know as money. Because if we could move away from shells and the barter system, salt, gold and silver coins, to paper money, to digital money, and now we have digital securities like Bitcoin, it is all part of the evolution. And one thing that we cannot do as people is slow evolution down. Evolution comes whether we are ready for it or not. It is coming, it is here. And that's why it's important for one to always be learning and be at the forefront of where trends are going, where technology is going, because you're positioning yourself to really benefit from the changes that are coming. Now, with value, the important thing is that when people are exchanging value, we all need to trust the medium that we're exchanging for. So when I give you a 100 Rand note or a $10 note or a 10-pound note, we are trusting that this 100 Rand, this $10, this 20, this 10 pounds is worth what it says it's worth. Because right now, money is paper, money is plastic, money is numbers on a server, money numbers in a computer. So what is it that we trust? Before, we used to trust in gold. So gold was backing what we know as currency. So we had the dollar was backed by gold, and at some point, President Nixon took the US dollar off the gold standard. So the gold standard meant that for every designated amount of dollars, there had to be gold in reserves in order to back up that currency. That's why South Africa, we're a country that is very rich in gold. Our currency, our South African rand, you might know the Kruger rand, etc., was more valuable than the dollar simply because of the stores that we had in gold that allowed our currency to be stronger than the US dollar. Fast forward today, currency is no longer backed by gold. It's now backed by governments, just by the fact that it's written there that, this is issued by the South African Reserve Bank or issued by the American Federal Reserve. People then trust that, oh, well, since it's, backed up by the government, then it is worth what is written on paper. And that is also questionable because governments all over the world are running down their currencies. They are, inflation is at all-time highs, and this is affecting the person on the ground. And these are things that are outside of our control. And these are all the things put together that created the perfect storm for Bitcoin to come and for the other evolution that came from Bitcoin to then take the hold that it has. So the traditional banking system also uses things like fractional banking. A good book to read for those of you who are readers out there, or you can just Google or go to YouTube and just find out Robert Kiyosaki, what his views are on what he has a book called Fake. It's a very thick book, but it's a good book. It's one that, if you're interested in money, where it's going, and in your own financial well-being, it's a book definitely worth getting. And he speaks about how we have fake money, fake teachers, fake governments, that everything that this monetary system is built on is fake, and it is coming to a point where it's going to crumble. And when it crumbles, we are seeing it already in the recession, stock markets at all-time lows, property markets all-time highs. Something's got to give, and you do not want to be a victim on the other side. I'm seeing it in real life, not on a newspaper in the economic section somewhere, but in real life, where you see how when you go to the grocery store and you're pushing your trolley, that living expenses are outperforming income in the traditional world. And that is all because of inflation, because fiat money is the way it is created, is that it is centralized, number one, meaning that it is controlled by a government. It is controlled, for example, in America, it's controlled by the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is a private entity. It's not even owned by the government, but they're the ones who control money supply. Another question, another rabbit hole that you can go to is who owns the Federal Reserve? Who's actually controlling the money supplies? But tonight, that's not what we're about. Today, we're going to be speaking about the fact that fiat currency is centralized. We have the US dollar, which is controlled by the US Federal Reserve. US economic factors affect the dollar. South African economics and our Reserve Bank, our interest rates, all of that, that is what controls and speaks to what the value of our rand is. And then you have countries where we have seen it go belly up, and we have just next door Zimbabwe, where they have their currency, but because of hyperinflation, etc., and so much money printing that went on, that if you're a billionaire in Zimbabwe, it really doesn't mean much, because a billion is what it costs to buy a loaf of bread. So fiat currencies have so many shortcomings, and Bitcoin came to answer some of those shortcomings. And after that, the technology that Bitcoin has come with is coming to answer many other shortcomings, and we will be getting into those as we go. So fiat money is centralized and it is infinite. There is no limit to how much money can be printed. For example, when economies are down, what do governments do? They try and stimulate the economy. And how do you stimulate the economy? You print more money. So it's all on Google. All you need to do is go on Google and search how much money is in circulation. They don't even want to tell us the real numbers. But before the COVID pandemic hit, there was about $4 trillion worth of, if we're looking at dollars now, $4 trillion in circulation of US dollars. Today, there's over $20 trillion of money that is in circulation. I believe it was a 60-day period. More money was printed in the US than in the history of them having the dollar in a 60-day period. So really, the more they print it, the more value it is losing. That's why Robert Kiyosaki says savers are losers, because you're saving something that's losing value. You are not saving an asset that is growing. You're saving something that 100 Rand today is going to be less, is worth less. It's going to be worth less 6 months from now than before, where you knew if you saved 100 Rand, you would get some interest and you'd be able to still get value from that 100 Rand. So savers are losers in today's economy. It is controlled, it is manipulated. Inflation, when they are putting stimulus on any economy, what do? It's the job stimulus. In South Africa, we are seeing it. Where do we think these 350 Rand COVID relief incomes are coming from? Well, it's all borrowed money, etc. But it is done to do what? To stimulate the economy. When they stimulate the economy, the buying power of our rand is reduced. Look at the rand to the dollar today versus what it was a year ago. Right now, the rand is sitting at just under 17 Rand to a dollar. A year ago, the rand was sitting at maybe 15 Rand to a dollar. So you can see that the value of our rand is dropping, it's diminishing. So what you can buy for your rands is actually dropping because of inflation and because of all this stimulus that they're trying to do to the economy. And it's a digital intermediary. Now we're living in a world where cash is no longer king. You don't need cash. Cash is actually trash now. Things have changed so much, but now we are in a digital age. So it shows us that evolution is always there. We went from checks we went from coins and paper to checks to digital money, using a card. Now we're going to QR codes and EFTs and just tap and pay. That is the evolution of money in the banking system. So when we are banking, banks keep track of what is happening. And so money has moved from being something physical to being a digital asset, where it's just numbers on a screen. And when you are tapping, when you are swiping, what the bank is doing is that they are keeping a ledger of where credit and debit. So when you go and you pay at your Woolworths for your groceries, they are debiting your account. So in your ledger, there's a debit, but Woolworths has a credit on their ledger. And so this ledger is kept by the banks. But this is not an open ledger, it's a centralized ledger. You and I can't go to the major banks and say, hey, we want to see a ledger to see who's holding how much, to basically audit what the banks are doing, because it's a centralized ledger. Every bank operates its own ledger, each of them centralized, none of them, intertwined, but everyone keeping their own ledger that they are holding. So those are important things to know, because when we get to what Bitcoin is, you get to see what it answers on the other side of the traditional monetary and banking system. Now, inflation basically means that our purchasing power of our rands, dollars, pounds is diminishing every single day. If you look at the price of petrol, why is the price of petrol gone up so much? Simply because when we are purchasing oil, when we are, when our coal and stuff is being refined here in South Africa, our money is losing value. Maybe, yes, petrol has gone up a little bit here and there, but what's actually happened is that the buying power of our money is being reduced. That's why you need more of it to buy the same thing. It doesn't mean that the apple here on the screen weighs more simply because it costs more. It just means that your money is losing value, so you now need to use more money to buy the same thing. That is what inflation is. So costs are rising, oil prices are rising, just normal cooking oil. In South Africa, cooking oil is 120 Rand for, I don't know if it's 2 liters or 5 liters, it's 2 liters of cooking oil, a basic necessity, not even a luxury. Costs are rising. And many people within this time, they are looking to say, what else is there out there? What can I do, to improve my life, to make sure that things are going my way? And we are definitely, we're not even on the brink of a recession, we are in a recession. But the good news is that in times of recession, in times of great crashes, those times present the biggest opportunity for entrepreneurs, for people who are, financially literate, for people who want more and who are willing to put in the work, do the research. These are the times that create more millionaires than any other time in the economic cycle. So good times just create, good life for everybody, but bad times economically create ridiculous amounts of wealth. And that is another opportunity that cryptocurrency presents us with, that in this time, when there's a bloodbath, when all the markets are down, it's the time for us to be finding the right projects in terms of what coins could I be buying, what tokens are out there, what should I be investing in the cryptocurrency market that is going to have a huge uptrend once we come out of this bear market and we go into the bull market. Because honestly, recession is basically Black Friday for entrepreneurs. It's Black Friday for investors. It means that is when we get the best deals. But you cannot get the best deals if you're not prepared, if you're not knowledgeable. You can't just get lucky. You have to research. You have to prepare yourself, lie and wait. And when the opportunity presents itself, you should be ready to pounce based on the knowledge that you have. So that's the point of these masterclasses as well. It's to equip all of the people who are joining me on these masterclasses with the right information and knowledge that will allow you to make your own decisions out there. I am in no way a financial advisor. I am simply a crypto enthusiast like yourself, who is, out there looking, always wanting to learn. And that is what I do. And I empower people with the knowledge that I have gained. But I'm not an advisor. I don't call myself a guru by any means. So I'm simply sharing with you what I know, and I'm hoping that you will then start the journey to start also in, not just with me, but with other mentors, other people. I'll bring some of them onto this platform to continue teaching us, so that when the opportunity presents itself, you will be able to use all of the knowledge that you've gained, and you'll be able to recognize the opportunity, interrogate the opportunity, and act on the opportunity independently, without any other person saying, you must do this, you must do that. Times of financial advisors are gone, where we sit back and we give our money to people and we say, here is my pension, see what you do with it, make it grow. We're living in a time where you can take control. Decentralization is what Bitcoin and crypto is all about. We're still going to get into that. And it's putting the power back in our hands. We no longer have to rely on the bank, on the pension fund, on somebody else to do for us what we can now do for ourselves. So let's continue. So we spoke about digitization and the ledgers. So, all right, and costs. Now, in 2008, back in October 2008, a white paper was released by a person by the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. This person till this day remains anonymous. There's obviously, theories here and there, but there are none that are confirmed who can tell us exactly who Satoshi Nakamoto is. And the beauty of it is that it actually doesn't even matter. What matters is the technology and what he was saying in this white paper. So October 2008, the white paper came out. As you know, 2008, 2009, that was when we had this huge real estate and financial breakdown back in it and recession in America, where it was, banks were in foreclosure, the financial markets were down, it was a bloodbath. And then perfect storm for Bitcoin to take hold. People realized that this financial it's a house of cards. The finance world is a house of cards. It's built on cards. It's not stable. When one card is pulled from that house, the whole house comes tumbling down. And that's what we saw back in 2009. And that's when people were looking for alternatives. Satoshi, right place, right time, right technology, and people started taking up the idea of Bitcoin, and it started to grow. And then in 2009, the first use of Bitcoin was actually done through a transaction where somebody who was part of the Bitcoin community put out a post and said, hey, I want to buy some pizza, but I want to buy it for 10,000 Bitcoin. And he put it up on the community, and somebody said, okay, send me the 10,000 Bitcoin and I'll send you the pizza. And they sent him 2 pizzas, and that was the very first Bitcoin transaction that happened. Remember, we spoke about value when we started. So it was an exchange for value. One person received pizza, the other person received Bitcoin. And it was a fair exchange of value because those 2 individuals determined that that pizza was worth $10,000. And we'll have a look at what that not $10,000, sorry, 10,000 Bitcoin. We'll have a look at what that 10,000 Bitcoin is worth today. So let's keep going. So an alternative to fiat is what Bitcoin is. And Bitcoin is decentralized. I'll explain how it's decentralized. It's digital. It is fully digital. There has never been a physical representation of Bitcoin. Yes, I know we have this a very well-known image of Bitcoin. It's that Bitcoin, literally a coin. However, this is not an actual literal coin that is worth a Bitcoin. This is just a representation of Bitcoin. However, Bitcoin is fully digital. It's smart money, money that can be programmable, on so many different levels. It's decentralized. And how it's decentralized is that Bitcoin is not run on a single server. It is not run from a single platform or a single organization. Bitcoin is maintained by what we call the network, the Bitcoin network. And all of this is run on the blockchain. Now, the Bitcoin network is basically millions and millions of smart computers. Back when Bitcoin started, the hash rate and the hash power didn't require so much, technological power. It could be run off your normal CPU on your home PC. People were mining Bitcoin on their PCs at home, and then they started introducing mining machines, etc. But how Bitcoin is held up is that it's held up through these mines, these nodes, and everything is confirmed through the blockchain by a number of nodes. So there's many nodes that are confirming Bitcoin transactions and are building them into the blockchain. And so when the ledger is an open ledger, so versus the bank's ledger, which is centralized, this is an open ledger. And when transactions are happening on the blockchain, you might notice if you've done a transaction, it might say we've seen it's received 5 confirmations, 15 confirmations. These are confirmations on the blockchain. And once they have been confirmed, they are all linked up, and that ledger is then open. Anybody can view it. Those transactions are there for life. And therefore, Bitcoin also can't be hacked. It can't be shut down because there's no central server that you shut down. It's run on millions and millions of mining machines and nodes all over the world. Even if they were to bomb half of the world's Bitcoin mines, Bitcoin centers, it would continue to run because it would be running on the others. Even if they had to try and hack the mines, they would have to hack each and every single one of these millions of nodes at the exact same time, which is impossible. And that is what brings such security to Bitcoin and security to other cryptocurrencies, because they are not centralized. The risk is spread out, and by spreading out the risk, that basically eliminates the risk of hacking, the risk of shutdown, the risk of trying to close Bitcoin down. So Bitcoin can't be shut down. Cryptocurrency can't be, shut down. Cryptocurrency projects that are fully decentralized cannot be shut down because of this concept of decentralization. Bitcoin, another thing about Bitcoin is that it's finite. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin in existence. So this adds to the dynamic of supply and demand. There is a limited supply of Bitcoin versus fiat currency. There's an unlimited supply. That is why the value, the purchasing power of the dollar, the rand, the pound continues to drop. But the buying power of Bitcoin over time continues to increase. Yes, right now we are in a slump in the Bitcoin market, but overall, the buying power of this asset is going to continue to grow because it is finite. Now, this is an important aspect to look at, especially if you're going to go into investing in other altcoins. We're going to be speaking about altcoins as we go, etc. So that's important, because when you are in navigating your way around the crypto market, you might be introduced to an ICO, an IDO, a new token, a new coin that comes out, and something like a Dogecoin. I call it Dogecoin. Some people pronounce it Doja coin, whatever, or the Shih Tzu coin. Some of these coins are hype. If you were to look at the fundamentals of the coin, over time, is it a good investment? And one of the big factors is this issue of how much supply is there? What is the cap on this coin or this token? How much of it is going to be out there? Because if it's infinite, like Doja coin, it's an infinite supply. So it's just like money. So there is really no value in buying it except the value that the community ascribes to it. Now, with cryptocurrencies, a lot of it is also speculative. It's a very speculative market. It runs on emotions. One person, somebody like Elon Musk, can tweet and it can take the price, it can push prices through the roof for no fundamental reason. So there's no reason to say this is why the price went up. It simply went up because of sentiment, of emotion, of the people in the community. So those are things that you have to be aware of as you start your journey in cryptocurrencies, to know that there's a formula. Yes, we can sometimes look at the charts, look at the technical charts. That's one aspect of it. But something, a whale can sell off Bitcoin, and that can cause people to, okay, let me just mute, sorry. What a big whale can sell off Bitcoin, and then people will see the sell-off, and then people will start selling, and then it will cause a bear market, and without any particular reason, simply because somebody, a big sell-off was done in the market. And so fear and all of that is a big factor in this market. So you need to know that going in, that you have to be aware of it, and you have to trade carefully, but please trade. Go ahead, go into this market, because it has so much opportunity. And it's important for us to note that blockchain is not Bitcoin. Blockchain is simply the technology, and blockchain is not currency. So blockchain is not Bitcoin. It's not a currency on its own. It's simply a technology that is used in order to build these different cryptocurrencies and their ecosystems. Now, before, back in the day, we're going to use the internet as a good example to show us basically the power that cryptocurrency, blockchain, and this decentralized world is bringing. Back in the day, before the internet, the flow of information was limited. So if we take South Africa, for example, we had one news channel that could run whatever they wanted to run. It was owned by the government, propaganda most of the time. And so if we take somebody like, we've just had, We've just had Mandela Day the other day. Somebody like Nelson Mandela was a terrorist in South Africa, according to the news media. The rest of the world was shouting free Mandela. But because of a control on information, the flow of information, really, you had to rely on the news, you had to rely on the newspaper. it was very limited and extremely centralized and controlled. Then come the internet in the 1990s. When the internet started to boom, this changed the whole flow of information. So the flow of information moved from being centralized to now being decentralized. So we now don't only rely on the SABC or CNN or BBC for the news. Now, if you want to know what's happening, you go to Twitter. Twitter will give you a live feed from a person who just had their cell phone, put on their camera, and they were there to capture the moment. You can go to Facebook, you can go to YouTube. People have news channels. They're not news, they're not journalists, there's blogs, there's all of this. So the flow of information before the internet was centralized. What the internet did is that it decentralized the flow of information. The internet decentralized and created so many opportunities. So the blockchain, we can liken the blockchain to the internet. So the blockchain is simply the platform. It's simply the technology. What is built on this technology is where the true power lies. So the internet was the technology, but let's look at how many industries have come from the internet. Imagine a day in your life right now without the internet. We are connected via the internet right now. You do your banking on the internet. Kids are going to school on the internet. When we had lockdown, kids were learning from home. Meetings are being done from home. They're being done from wherever you are through the internet. You want to catch a ride, you go on Uber, you go on Bolt on the internet. You want to check if you have electricity, you go download an app that tells you when you're going to be load shedding, when you're not going to be load shedding. What you want to book a hotel, there's Airbnb. All of those technologies were built because of the internet. So today we now have the blockchain. Blockchain is to today's world what the internet was in the 1980s and the 1990s. Amazon, Facebook, the billionaires and millionaires of today, YouTube, are what are built off of the internet. We are right now at the very beginning of this technology. And so we have, it's a green field before us. And each one of us needs to find our path. Where is it that we want to go? Do we want to, you don't want to get too involved. Some older people might say, listen, I don't have, I'm not going to start investing all my time in it like I'm 18, but I want to be a part of it. Then you'll have a young person who says, listen, I want to be the next Zuckerberg. I want to be, the next guy who's going to build a WhatsApp on the blockchain. We have that much opportunity in front of us. So decentralization is really, blockchain is really what the internet was back then. That's what the blockchain is today. Today, you cannot imagine your life without the internet. A few years from now, we are going to live a life where we cannot imagine a life without the blockchain. It is going to be a part of almost everything that we do. So really, Bitcoin is the internet of money. Blockchain is the internet of everything, because we are now going into Web 3.0. We had Web, the first edition of the web, which was static websites, which were, just information based. You could just get information from it, read, etc. Then we went into Web 2.0, which was a dynamic. You could send information, you could download information, you could upload information. We have Facebook, we have YouTube, we have Wikipedia. That is the change of the web, Web 2.0. Now we're going into Web 3.0, which is now the blockchain aspect of the web. So everything that is running on the web, as you know it today, is going to be running on blockchain-based web through Web 3.0, and that is all going to be decentralized. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but we're going to start talking about that also as we go. So Bitcoin and the start of Bitcoin is completely revolutionary. It's bigger than just, here's this asset that I can invest in. It gives us full control. And when people started seeing that if we can move away from the centralized world in the financial market, what else can we decentralize? What else can we move away from? Voting can be done via the blockchain. There's so many uses for the blockchain that are still going to be established and investigated, and just grow. And it's great to be a part of it early on. So it gives us full control. There's no middleman. When you are transacting in Bitcoin, you don't need a bank to send money to another part of the world. It doesn't have to take days. There aren't any limits to say, oh no, if you want to send money out of South Africa, you can only send 100,000 or R1 million a year. Listen, with Bitcoin, you are in full control. Smart money, like I said, it's programmable. It's open to all. There is no requirement. If you go to the bank today and you want to open a bank account, they want to get your KYC, your FICA, your ID copy, your proof of address, your fingerprints, your iris. You want to take a scan of your eye. With Bitcoin, you don't need all of that. It's not as invasive. And with technology, banking and just being online is becoming more and more invasive. And Bitcoin is saying you don't need to expose yourself to that degree, because this is a market that's open to all. And like I've already said, it's finite. Only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be mined. Now, if you want to start a portfolio, it will only take 0.28 Bitcoin for you to be part of the world's 1%. Because even if every millionaire had to buy Bitcoin today, there wouldn't be enough Bitcoin to go around for each and every one of them. So that speaks to the scarcity of Bitcoin. So it's extremely scarce. Now, start purchasing your Bitcoin. Don't wait. Any person who wants to call themselves, a crypto enthusiast, your cornerstone is Bitcoin. A portion, not all of it. This is not financial advice. Also, so the cornerstone is get your Bitcoin and get started at least 0.28. Then you're in the top 1%. Then you can focus on everything else. So back to the pizza transaction. The first Bitcoin transaction was 10,000 Bitcoin. Today, one Bitcoin is worth $23,000, almost $23,800. So if we look at the value of 10,000 Bitcoin today, oh boy, how much is that? That's $237 million. That is the current value of Bitcoin. Now, if you had bought a pizza back in 2009 and you bought a pizza for, let's say, 200 Rand, two pizzas for 200 Rand, today, the same amount of money would not get you the same pizza that you bought 10 years ago. Maybe it would get you one pizza today because of inflation and because of the loss of value of the purchasing power of our money. But with Bitcoin, look what has happened over the years. The price of Bitcoin has gone up. And yes, I know we are in a bear market, but like I said, over time, overall, Bitcoin is on the rise. So with Bitcoin, the value is agreed upon by the community. It's an open and public, very transparent ledger, fully decentralized, finite. The cap is 21 million Bitcoin, and it is a great alternative to fiat. Now, growth over the past 13 years, Bitcoin has grown from being worth just $0.01 to being $23,000 right now. Bitcoin has passed the $60,000 mark. It has hit that as an all-time high. But right now we're trading at $23,000. It's a great time for us to buy. Remember, I spoke about Black Friday. We are in the Black Friday season of cryptocurrencies. This is the time to buy, and buy some more, because we are going to go into an uptrend. It might not be today. I hope it's not tomorrow, because we still want to accumulate quite a bit. But over time, we are definitely going to get to a point where we are going to see those all-time highs surpassed. So that 60,000 Bitcoin is going to pass straight through it. And the next all-time high, the next bulls run that we see, we could see Bitcoin be well worth over $100,000 and in not the very long future. So like I say, Bitcoin is the king of them all. It's the king of coins. Bitcoin is number one. All the others are what we refer to as altcoins, alternative coins. So these are if they have their own blockchain. If they don't have their own blockchain, then they're not referred to as a coin, but rather as a token. So we have Litecoin, we have XRP, we have Ethereum. These are all coins in their own right, all running on their own blockchains. And then we have a blockchain such as Ethereum, which allows other tokens to be built on top of the Ethereum network. So we are going to get into that in our next master classes, just as to what else can be decentralized. Because right now we've spoken about why decentralization is important, just like the flow of information before the internet, the power that it puts back in the people's hands. We see movements like the Black Lives Matter, there was that gentleman who was killed, you know, the I can't breathe, that gentleman, I forget his name right now. And had it not been for somebody recording on the side of the street, Floyd, who again? Yeah, the gentleman's name was Floyd. Yes, my mom is reminding me now. She was following that very closely because you know what, the Internet of Things, and they took the video live as it was happening, and without that, I don't even think that they would have got a conviction for the policeman who ultimately murdered that gentleman. So really, the power is back in the people's hands to a degree, and decentralization is bringing back the power financially. We are in, there has been no better time, folks, in history to get rich like right now. It is a recession, blood is on the streets, but right now, when there is fear and anxiety and everything is crashing, it's time to start setting ourselves up, and setting ourselves up for that very huge wealth transition that we are in. So there are many other altcoins that are building on this technology. And in the cryptocurrency market, there are many ways to profit and earn. Some ways require you to be a little bit more skilled. For example, somebody might say, I would like to trade. Then that requires a technical skill. You need to be technically trained in order for you to trade. I am technically trained. I know how to trade. George Floyd, and I thought it was. Thank you. So it was George Floyd. Yes, George Floyd was the gentleman. Thank you. I feel redeemed now. Now that it's an important thing to remember a person's name. So George Floyd was the gentleman who unfortunately was killed. But because of the decentralization of information, that video went viral and people were in an uproar. Before then, it would have just flown by the wayside, and no one would have been brought to book because things were centralized. So right now, decentralization, they can't censor what people are saying, how they're saying it. And so Web 3.0, we're going to a point where people don't want to be censored anymore. There's censorship now on Facebook, on Twitter. Some censorship, is good, but when we are being censored out of our opinions in order to create, just a mass way of thinking, then that is bad. And that's why we always need evolution and growth. And that's what Web 3.0 is going to be bringing. So like I was saying, with trading, that requires a technical skill. There are simpler ways to invest. Some people might say, you know what, I don't have the time and effort to get into the technical stuff, so I'm going to maybe look at dollar cost averaging. Did I even put my dollar cost averaging in here? I didn't. I had done a whole thing on dollar cost averaging, but I'll explain it as we go along. But that's one of the ways to invest in cryptocurrencies. It's a long-term strategy where you are simply averaging out. So you put out a certain amount, maybe say every month I'm going to invest 1,000 Rand in purchasing cryptocurrency. Maybe I'll buy 500 Rand worth of Bitcoin, 20% worth of Polygon, 20% worth of Tron, and 10% worth of Ethereum, or whatever, however you want to dissect your portfolio. And every month, without fail, you will be purchasing that amount, dollar cost averaging. So whether the market is up, whether the market is down, you are buying, knowing that overall, those purchases are going to allow you to outperform the market. That is a medium to long-term strategy. And that is one really that works. And it's powerful because with cryptocurrency, you don't have to start with 100,000 Rand. You can literally say, I'm going to start dollar cost averaging, buying for 100 Rand a week. That is an amount that's affordable. And many, myself included, I'm not consistent with my dollar cost averaging. I do it, I have a plan, but I think I should be more consistent. But it doesn't have to be 1,000 Rand a week. It can be 200 Rand a week, 500 Rand a week, 500 Rand a month, whatever you can afford. But continue and be consistent, because consistent efforts outweigh and outperform intensity. It outperforms buying 5,000 Rand once. And maybe you bought high at that 5,000. And the person who's buying 500 Rand a week or 500 Rand or 1,000 Rand a month, that person is getting the best of the market because they are hedging their position. They are buying it at intervals. So that is a very powerful strategy, and one that we'll get into once we get into, the finer details of what it is that we're offering. So what else can be decentralized? That's a very important question. And that's why we had to start at the very beginning and explain money, how it evolved, the banks, etc., control, and then go into what the internet did for information. And that's what blockchain has come to do, not only for money, but for everything around it. It has come to decentralize the internet. everything that can be done on the internet was now going to be able to be decentralized. With decentralization, we're going to be able to, it's not even we're going to be able to, it's already happening, where property transfers are happening on the blockchain. So we're no longer using conveyances like we did in the old days. Things are being done on the blockchain, and the smart contract is built to say, when a certain amount of crypto is paid into this wallet, automatically the smart contract will then instigate the transfer of the property, and then on the other end, the owner will then receive the property certificate, because the smart contract was able to manage the transaction between the two individuals. Smart contract technology, there's so much, and I cannot break it down all in one session. So today was really just an introduction to say it's so important to understand the fundamentals, to say with more that can be decentralized, there's more function, more opportunity, and future revolution. So getting in right now is the best thing that you can do for yourself. And the best way to do it is just to start. Buy some cryptocurrency, open up an exchanger account, read up about the few. If you open an exchange account, if you're using Binance or you're using Val or using Altcoin Trader, check what cryptocurrencies do they have. Go to CoinMarketCap. I'll be sharing these apps with you. I'll be sharing these links. Where do you check? Where do you get the latest news? How do you get, the crypto meter? What's hot? For those of us who want to invest a little bit in the tokens and the altcoins, maybe 10 or 20% of your portfolio, you want to put in on where you think the big growth is going to be, but you understand that that's not a long-term strategy. So where do we get those hot tips? Where do we get that information? And really all we're trying to do is just to build a community that is going to feed off one another, that is going to empower one another, and that's going to allow us to venture into this ecosystem smoothly, in a simple manner, in a profitable manner, but without it being difficult. It really doesn't have to be difficult. It's complex, yes, but we can participate even though it's complex. The internet is complex, yet you are on Zoom with me now. You've got online banking. You are, sending emails. You're doing all of that. It's complex, but you are using it in your everyday life. Cryptocurrency is the same. Blockchain is the same. It's complex, but there are ways in which you can participate and start earning and profiting from it in your everyday life by simply having a smartphone and connection to the internet and being willing to learn. So I think at that point, I'll maybe leave it there. Do we have any other questions? Yes. I know the first question might be, Lebo, does it end here, or are we going to have an opportunity to do more classes? Well, good news is if you want them, we will continue to do them. Today really was just the introduction. There is so much more. I have the ebook that if you'd like a copy of my ebook, please just shout. Maybe I'll create a little community telegram for us so that we can share all of this, and you can then share with me also. Okay, so I'm getting some feedback. Thank you. And then you can share your feedback with me also, good or bad. I'm open to all of it. So I really appreciate your feedback. Send it to me. What I'll do is I will create okay, so thank you, Leader Nomsa. Thank you for that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, okay, we've got a hand raised. I will come to you with if you have a question, please just type it for me in the chat box, and then I'll be able to assist you there. And so, okay, excellent. Thank you, leaders. I really appreciate the feedback, because that's what gives me the power to say, okay, now we can go. Now I can commit. Now I can definitely say, okay, team, the next class is going to be on this day. So I'd like to probably do 2 classes a week, but I think that might be a lot for all of us. So what I'll do is I'll just create, let me have a look. I've got it on my phone. I already have my crypto class Telegram. So I'll just add that Telegram here, and then you can then join that Telegram group there. The ebook is pinned, so you'll be able to download the ebook immediately when you go. Let's have a look. Okay, I'm gonna send it on my Telegram here now, and then I will add it to the chat. Then you can, okay, perfect, I've got it. So let me stop sharing this and let me get the link. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Then what you can do is you can simply go to the link, join that group, and then there the book is pinned, and you'll be able to to download the book immediately. I don't even have to repost it or anything. It's already there. And then you will be able to continue. So cryptocurrency, folks, is bigger than just let's get involved in an opportunity and make money. There is so much that we can do in cryptocurrency, and there's something for everyone. And you need to find your feet. The point is to empower you so that you're able to make your own decisions, find your own way, be independent, and hopefully one day you might also be able to help somebody else and teach someone else, teach your kids, teach, you know, family members, whoever's open and willing to learn. Start your own little cryptocurrency group of people that, you know, you're sharing the information with. The point is to get this out there and to empower as many people as possible. So, okay, where is this? So let me go back here. So the next class I will then announce then on the group. I'll announce the next class on the group, and everybody will be able to get information on that. But for now, I had a hand raised. Are there any other questions? All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Leader Kanya. It is only a pleasure. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy teaching and helping. And when the students are like you, folks, I am given more power to keep on going, because it's good to be working with a team that is, you know, responsive. I'd rather have a small group of people, but they are in it. They are, you know, like this group is right now. So this is our maiden group for 2022. And so I'm going to cherish this one a lot. I'm definitely going to make a note of everybody who's in this class, and let's keep moving, folks. So the next class I will announce, maybe let's do it next week, Sunday again at 5 o'clock. Maybe we'll do 4 sessions. So for the next 4 Sundays, 5 o'clock, we'll have the session. I think that will be the easiest way to do it, because in the week, people are coming back from work, etc. So maybe 5 o'clock, let that be our session. You can grab your coffee, you know, and let's get to work. So 5 o'clock it is. We'll be back next week, Sunday, and then I'll go deeper. We'll go into alternative coins. We'll go into types of wallets, because that's also important. There are many different types of wallets. Let me not start teaching, but yes, we'll go into all of that, and we'll go into all these different fundamentals. Because when you're involved, for example, I know some of us are involved in opportunities. For you to know the power of the wallet that you're using versus other types of wallets, versus the security of each wallet, versus all of that stuff, it's important. And it gives you, as an entrepreneur in this space, this is stuff that you have to know. It's not a should I know it, you have to know it, and it doesn't have to be difficult. So thank you for joining me, team. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate all of you being online and joining me this evening. So we're gonna keep it going, and we'll be back next week, Sunday. Like I've said, I just want to join using my other phone, sorry. So we'll be back next week, Sunday at 5 o'clock, to make sure that we're able to empower everybody and keep everybody in the loop with what's happening. So, alrighty, getting my screenshot of the team. All right, so that's it for today, folks. If there are any other questions, also don't be shy. If you have me on WhatsApp, if you have me on Facebook, go ahead, shout a question. If I'm able to answer, I will. If not, I will maybe just put it, if you want to, on Telegram. I'll send a message on the group so you'll see my number. Then you can just DM me the questions, and then I can answer them in our next session. And I think they'll help the whole group in learning. You know, those questions will assist us in helping everybody get further. So thank you so much, folks. Are we recording? Yes. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. God bless. Good night. It is 6 o'clock, so I think we have used up all our time. Thanks again. I'll see you next week, Sunday, 5 o'clock. Let's keep learning. Let's keep growing. And let's meet each other again next week. Thanks, folks. Night, night.